History of thriller genre. The thriller genre has evolved throughout time, but some conventions have kept the same since the days of black and white. Things that have stayed the same, for example, are the main aspects are the main characters. They include the main protagonist, who's usually this tall male and heroic person who stands up in the face of evil. And also, he comes with a damsel in distress who is most of the time female, and is like the name implies, who is always in need of help, in distress. And also, one of the most important characters in a thriller genre is their main antagonist, who is usually male but can be female sometimes, and whose motivation for being evil is due to his background and backstories. It might be a psychopath. He might just want to rule the world or kill people. These characters' aspects that have not changed since films like, for example, Psycho, have been key in the story plot of a film. As the times went on, the quality of camera has also changed. So, from example, black and white of key films like Psycho, to the awesome CGI bending of Inception. The quality of thriller films does not really affect the quality of the film, because the camera quality. Because, for example, Blue Velvet, 1986, which for its time had not as good camera quality, but it had a really unique and interesting plot, which made the audience even more interested, even though the camera quality wasn't that good. But there has been some changes to the thriller genre, such how it is moving closer to the horror in some key aspects, because of the increasing use of blood and gore in the film, with special effects becoming more prominent and also cheaper, causing for even low budget thriller films to have decent special effects compared to past thriller films. This helps to combine different movie codes and conventions of different genres into one. A lot of different films are reusing basic plots of past films. Films today have modernised them in some aspects. They did this by adding plots that were more relevant to our modern day culture, such as, for example, government conspiracies, terrorism. This helps for the modern day audience to relate more to the film, and causes for there to be a lot more interest. For example, American Sniper, which is based more around our time of the Afghan war and what soldiers' lives are like. One of the conventions that have stayed relatively the same is sound, which used to heighten the audience's mood to make them feel more tense, and to create suspense. For example, when it is used in Psycho, which is the shower scene where you see this man stabbing the girl in the shower, and it's really high pitch and it's just really fast. And also, even though it's not exactly the same in Taken, which the use of sound creates suspense, because you suddenly it can go quiet and suddenly it can get really loud, which can cause jump scares and creates a lot more interest in the film. Also, since the invention of high depth colour in films, directors are able to use lighting and darkness to emphasise the emotional darkness of a character, and also for example, in The Dark Knight, Batman plays really a dark person, even though he's the protagonist. So he's always in the shadows, always coming out at night, and this creates a lot more suspense. And also, as the thriller genre has gone on, the plots have gotten even more complicated, due to audience wanting the plot to be thicker and for it to actually mean something in the end, so they actually get something out of the film, general film, so they don't go out of the cinema feeling like they've wasted their time. There have also been some prominent figures in the thriller genre, the most notable of which has to be definitely, in my opinion, Alfred Hitchcock. He's directed so many different thriller movies throughout the late 20th century that have laid out presumably 90% of the basic codes and conventions of thriller movies for all time. His first thriller film, The Lodger, was the basis for most thriller films you see today. He can introduce many of the codes and conventions still used by thriller films. Also, his film Vertigo continued to use the classic elements that created a good thriller film. His films contained many thrills throughout and often ended with a shock, a plot twist that created shock and suspense. He also directed thriller films such as the infamous Psycho in 1916, which helped lay down a thriller film, how a thriller film should have music that affects the plot and also suspense. Alfred Hitchcock is famous for his direction and production of classic thriller films. He has a distinct way of filming using cinematography to connote the emotions and create suspense, tension and also anticipation. He's produced over 20 of the most iconic thriller films of all time. For example, I've said before, Psycho, Vertigo, The Birds, Rear Window, and other such prominent thriller film directors, along with Alfred Hitchcock, who more modern day can involve Christopher Nolan, who directed such thriller films such as Dark Knight and Inception and Insomnia. And the first two can show how modern day thriller films have changed, with a lot more action, a lot more better CGI and also effects, big set pieces, because the audience in the modern day wants to be wowed, wants to be shocked, wants there to be excitement, so they don't get bored halfway through the film and want to leave, because they've seen a lot of the stuff before in the basic plots that Alfred Hitchcock had already set out. They want something new from what they've seen before. And in my opinion, Alfred Hitchcock is one of the best film directors of all time, because of his use of music and also the plot premises of most of his films, like The Birds, which was original. It has never really been done before or since, with such precision and directing that causes it to be a really iconic film.